The blame game is underway in Bangladesh after computer hackers stole the equivalent of 73 million euros from this institution, the central bank.
81 million US dollars stolen from Bangladesh bank.
It's a murky story about vulnerability, and it's about cyber, and this is something that's becoming really widespread, not only in Asia but around the world.
Imagine waking up one morning to discover that your country's savings of millions of dollars had vanished into thin air. This was the nightmare Bangladesh bank faced when a group of highly skilled hackers broke into its systems and came dangerously close to stealing $1 billion. This wasn't just a cybercrime, it was a daring attack on the heart of the global financial system. The courage, precision, and scope of this heist sent shockwaves across the world, exposing how vulnerable even the most secure institutions can be. The impossible heist, a billion-dollar gamble.
Bangladesh's handling of its finances has become news fodder, especially now that some hackers were able to steal $81 million from the country's central bank.
In February 2016, the financial world was shaken by a daring attempt to rob $1 billion from the reserves of the Bangladesh bank, held at the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. This was no ordinary theft. Instead of ski masks and guns, the culprits used code and malware. These cyber criminals aimed to exploit the interconnected global financial system to pull off what seemed like the perfect crime. With careful planning, the hackers managed to access the Bangladesh bank's systems and issue fraudulent transfer requests through SWIFT, the international financial messaging network used by thousands of institutions worldwide. The scale of their plan was incredible. Over 30 fraudulent transactions were initiated, attempting to drain Bangladesh's foreign currency reserves. The attack was a chilling demonstration of how deeply cyber threats could penetrate the heart of the global banking system. Had it succeeded entirely, the consequences would have been disastrous for Bangladesh, leaving the country suffering from financial chaos and reputational damage. The thorough nature of this crime showed that the culprits were not just ordinary hackers, but highly skilled operators, possibly with inside knowledge of banking protocols and weak links in international systems. A global game of cat and mouse, the hacker's trail.
U.S. law enforcement is now working with Bangladeshi authorities to probe one of the biggest transnational cyber theft cases in the world.
The operation was a masterpiece of cyber deception, spanning multiple countries and banking institutions. The attackers first infiltrated Bangladesh Bank's internal systems, installing malware that allowed them to monitor employee activities for months. By studying how legitimate transactions were initiated, they crafted fake transfer requests that appeared authentic. Using SWIFT, the hackers instructed the Federal Reserve Bank of New York to transfer funds to various accounts in the Philippines and Sri Lanka. The amount was incredible, over $950 million. The transactions were timed for a long weekend in Bangladesh, ensuring that bank officials would be slow to identify problems. This delay allowed the hackers to get a head start, as the funds were quickly spread across accounts and money laundering schemes. Yet, this complex crime wasn't flawless. Some suspicious transfers caught the attention of financing banks, including Deutsche Bank, which flagged discrepancies in the requests. The international scope of the operation created a chaotic scenario where law enforcement agencies, financial regulators, and cybersecurity experts in multiple countries scrambled to piece together what had happened. The complex nature of the attack turned the pursuit into a global game of cat and mouse, with investigators racing against time to stop the money trail from going completely cold. A stroke of luck. How a typo saved millions.
The involvement of the Sri Lankans in the cyber heist came to light when 20 million US dollars of the stolen funds were transferred to the bank account of a private foundation in Colombo.
Despite their complex planning, the hackers made a seemingly insignificant mistake that became their undoing. In one of the fraudulent transfer requests for $20 million, the word foundation was misspelled. While such mistakes are not uncommon, this typo raised a red flag at Deutsche Bank, the bank that was processing the transfer. The bank asked for clarification from the Bangladesh bank, and by then, alarms were already beginning to sound within the financial institution. This single error stopped what could have been an even greater disaster. By the time the fraudulent transactions were discovered, $81 million had already been successfully transferred to accounts in the Philippines, but the remaining attempts were blocked. This fortunate error saved Bangladesh from losing hundreds of millions more. It also highlighted how even the smallest mistake can unravel the most complex criminal schemes. Without this typo, the hackers might have achieved their full objective, leaving Bangladesh in a state of debt. A trail of cryptocurrency, laundering the loot.
It's about 81 million US dollars that came from the New York Fed accounts or the Bangladeshi central bank accounts held at the New York Fed into the Philippines.
Once the hackers secured $81 million in a Philippine bank, they quickly moved the funds to evade detection. Using a network of casinos, shell companies, and cryptocurrency exchanges, the money was laundered at lightning speed. Casinos in the Philippines became a critical part of the laundering process. Large sums were converted into gambling chips, played briefly, and then cashed out as clean money. A significant portion of the stolen funds was also funneled through cryptocurrency exchanges, making the trail even harder to follow. By converting the money into digital currencies like Bitcoin, the criminals took advantage of the confidentiality and decentralized nature of cryptocurrency transactions. The use of these methods illustrated the increasing complexity of financial crimes in the digital era. Investigators faced immense challenges in tracing the funds, as the disorganized trail led across different jurisdictions with various laws. The stolen money vanished into a shadowy web of luxury purchases, offshore accounts, and digital wallets. Despite the recovery of some funds, a large portion remains unaccounted for, hidden in the shadowy depths of the global financial system.
Now that money was then dispersed. It went to an unidentified Chinese-Filipino businessman who has a business of bringing in high-flying gamblers into the casinos in the Philippines.
An international manhunt, chasing shadows. The heist triggered a groundbreaking international investigation involving multiple countries and agencies. Authorities in Bangladesh, the United States, the Philippines, and even Sri Lanka coordinated efforts to track the hackers and recover the stolen funds. In the Philippines, law enforcement focused on the accounts used to receive the money. Several individuals were arrested, including casino operators and bank employees suspected of helping with the laundering process. Yet, the masterminds behind the attack continued to remain hidden behind layers of online secrecy. Investigators followed the money trail through a complex maze of transactions, piecing together the puzzle one piece at a time. The global nature of the crime exposed gaps in international cooperation and the challenges of pursuing cybercriminals across borders. The investigation also revealed vulnerabilities in countries with weaker financial oversight, where such crimes could be carried out with relative ease. While some funds were recovered and arrests were made, the primary planners of the heist, believed to be part of a highly skilled hacking group, remained at large. This international manhunt highlighted both the reach and the limitations of global law enforcement in the face of advanced online crimes, leaving the world questioning how prepared it really was to handle such threats. A wake-up call for cybersecurity, lessons learned.
Particular transaction, there was another attempted transaction of $870 million, nearly $1 billion. That transaction was foiled this time by the New York Fed.
The Bangladesh bank heist sent shockwaves through the global financial industry, acting as a wake-up call for banks and institutions worldwide. It exposed glaring vulnerabilities in cybersecurity protocols, especially in developing nations with limited resources. The SWIFT network, a cornerstone of international banking, came under scrutiny for its security practices. While the network itself was not compromised, the attack revealed how poor internal controls at a single institution could jeopardize the entire system. Banks around the world scrambled to strengthen their defenses, investing in advanced cybersecurity measures and employee training to prevent similar breaches. The incident also prompted regulators to push for stricter guidelines on reporting and managing cyber threats. It was a stark reminder that in an increasingly digital world, no system is entirely secure. The heist underscored the need for constant vigilance, collaboration, and innovation to stay ahead of cybercriminals. For Bangladesh Bank, the attack was a painful lesson, but it also became a catalyst for change, driving the institution to modernize its security infrastructure. The heist highlighted that cybersecurity was not just a technical issue, but a fundamental part of national and global economic stability. A David versus Goliath story, fighting against all odds.
Hackers exploited the fragile security system of Bangladesh Bank and made payment instructions to the Fed through 35 messages.
The Bangladesh Bank heist was a story of an underdog facing an almost invincible opponent. As a developing nation, Bangladesh lacked the resources and expertise of larger financial institutions to protect against such advanced cyber attacks. The hackers, equipped with advanced tools and extensive knowledge, seemed unstoppable. Yet, the bank, with the support of international agencies, managed to fight back. The odds were heavily stacked against them, but the recovery of some funds and the exposure of the laundering networks were significant victories. This David versus Goliath story became famous worldwide, highlighting the uneven playing field in the fight against cybercrime. For smaller nations and institutions, the heist was a stark reminder of their vulnerability in a connected global economy. It also emphasized the importance of international collaboration in combating cyber threats.
Happen to any bank, even despite high cybersecurity that might happen, but this is one of the weaknesses of the central bank. For that matter, commercial banks in Bangladesh also.
The Bangladesh bank heist was more than just an attempt to steal money. It was a wake-up call for the entire financial world. While the hackers managed to escape with millions, their actions revealed the flaws in global banking systems and the urgent need for stronger defenses against cyber threats. As the world becomes increasingly digital, the Bangladesh bank heist stands as a symbol of both the dangers and the versatility of our interconnected financial future.